Thank you very much, everyone. My name is Sara Bibb. I'm the CEO and founder of MKS HR Consulting, and today we're going to talk about how HR compliance can help you grow and scale your business. So we're going to go over what HR compliance means, why it's important for you as a business owner, and 5 core areas that I think any business should have with respect to HR. So why should it be important for you as a business owner? First of all, legal protection. When you are HR compliant, it makes sure that you are protecting your business from possible lawsuits, Ministry of Labor investigations, things like that. Secondly, it promotes a positive workplace culture. When you have a positive workplace culture within HR compliance, you have employees that are a lot more engaged, they're satisfied, and that turns into higher productivity. Risk management. When you have updated policies, contracts in place, you are getting ahead of the issues that happen within your business. And once you get ahead of them, you know how to deal with them as opposed to being reactive and possibly doing a Google search and wondering, hey, how do I handle this situation with this employee? Operational efficiency. Once you're HR compliant, your people side of your business is running like a smooth, well-oiled machine. And last thing, HR compliance, you need to be it obviously legally, but it's a strategic advantage for you as a business owner. It will allow you to grow your business if you're HR compliant. So what are the 5 key areas? All of these areas that I'm talking about today are areas all businesses should be compliant in, and it doesn't matter if you're 5 employees or 500 employees. First one is employment standards. Within employment standards in Ontario, you have legislation. There's many different areas of these standards that you have to be compliant in. These are things like hours of work, overtime, public holiday pay, leave entitlements, vacation. Within each of these standards, depending upon the business that you operate, industry you're in, type of business, you can have special rules and certain exemptions for these standards. The one thing about these standards is you cannot opt out of them. You have to meet the minimum standard. You can always go above and beyond, but you can never go below. Next one is hiring process. When you go about hiring employees or contractors for your business, you need to have a standardized process in place so that each and every candidate goes through the same process every single time. And within that hiring process, you have to make sure that you're not violating human rights legislation. In interviews, obviously, most business owners here know you can't ask questions like, are you planning on getting married? How old are you? Do you plan on retiring anytime soon? But you also have to make sure that you're not violating human rights legislation within your job posting as well. Sometimes the language in there can potentially violate human rights as well. New hire onboarding. What a lot of business owners, especially smaller business owners, where I see them fall down, is that once they've had an offer of employment accepted, they think that their job is done. Technically, yes, it's done from a hiring perspective, but you now have to go into the next step of the employee life cycle and onboard that person, properly integrate them into your business. And yes, even small business owners need to have some sort of a formal process. Documentation. These are signed employment contracts. If you have employees on your payroll, are they on signed employment contracts? Are those contracts up to date with the most case law that's out there? If you have contractors, do you have independent contractor agreements in place? Policies, procedures. Do you have the most up-to-date policies and procedures? Legislation changes constantly, and it's changing at a much faster rate, especially since COVID. Last area is this area of employee misclassification. So a lot of small business owners, you might not have employees on your payroll, but you have what's called an independent contractor. Within Ministry of Labor or employment standards, if you misclassify, you are in breach of the Employment Standards Act. You have fines and penalties that I'll go into a little bit later. On top of administrative labor, if you misclassify, you can run into CRA issues as well, and I'll go over to that in the next slide. So, what's the difference between an employee and an independent contractor, subcontractor? That's a term that's interchanged easily. The main difference is the control of the relationship. Who is in control of that relationship? If it's an employee, you, the business owner, are in control. You are the one that decides what job do they do, when do they come into the office to do it, what rate of pay, how much vacation, when do they take the vacation. You might even give them benefits as an example. So you, the employer, the business owner, are in control of that relationship. An independent contractor, on the other hand, the independent contractor is the person that's in control of the relationship. They decide what they're going to do, how much they're going to get paid for it, when they're going to do it. They typically use their own tools and equipment, whereas in an employee, the employer is providing that for them. In terms of issues that you can get into non-compliance, basically what happens is if a Ministry of Labor, they look at who's controlling the employee relationship. And from a Ministry of Labor standpoint, if it looks and walks and talks like a duck, you're then breach of employment standards and you can have fines and penalties. And we'll get into a little bit later the fines and penalties from a CRA perspective. But what the CRA does in terms of their test, they look at, is the independent contractor an actual business themselves? Do they have opportunity where they might lose in profit if something goes wrong with the project that they're working on? So the QR code on the screen that's in front of you right now, I wish I had time to go over the 5 different areas more in depth. But the QR code on the screen goes into all of the 5 core areas on a much more in-depth basis. It goes into a checklist so you can see, where do I stand as a business owner in my HR compliance? Attached to that, after you download the checklist, is a thank you page, and you can book for today only a complimentary HR consultation. And I'll go through and I'll do an HR audit of your current systems to see where you stand, where are your gaps, where do you need some help. Costs of non-compliance. So, as I said before, if you have a breach in employment standards, your fines and your penalties can vary, as you can see on the slide. And the reason for the variation is the larger the breach of employment standards, the larger the fine and the penalty. The last thing you want to do is open up your business to a Ministry of Labor investigation. Because if they're investigating one small area of your business, it then opens the door for them to investigate your entire business. And the inspectors do have that right as inspectors. In terms of hiring the wrong employee, what I've seen is that business owners, especially small business owners, they need to find that employee, get the person working so that it takes the pressure off of the rest of the staff. And sometimes they might hire the wrong employee, and they have to let that employee go. There's 2 different areas where they're going to have some costs related for that. One is the actual letting go of that employee. So you have to legally come up with a termination package to let that employee go. And you'd have to know from an ESA standpoint, how much termination notice are they entitled to? What is their common law notice that they're entitled to? Do they get severance pay? So that's one piece of it. The second piece is the cost to replace that actual person itself. And on average, it's about 30% of the employee's first year salary. In terms of employee misclassification, how that looks, like I had said, you have your employment standards penalties, which can vary depending upon how long this contractor who's now been found to an employee, there's different penalties for that. So that's one area. Your second area is your CRA. If, let's say, you have a contractor that is now found to be an employee and they've been a contractor for, let's say, 2-3 years, you, the business owner, could be on the hook for that contractor's back pay and taxes. On top, of the back pay for the CRA payroll taxes that you should have been remitting since they were deemed an employee on payroll. So it's really important to make sure that you're not misclassifying your employees. Oh, sorry. I think you have to go to the presentation. Oh, we'll go like this. Okay, so unfortunately Tammy didn't have the right presentation, so I will go through this because I have it locked in my brain. So in terms of costs, so if you are looking to, sorry, I just need to put these here. If you are looking to hire your own employee or a contractor, there's going to be some costs for you. First, right out of the gate, you're going to have to create and pay for a job ad. If you're going to post on an online job board like Indeed, it can range anywhere from $300 to $2,000. The reason for the range is it depends on the level of the role that you're hiring for and how long you're going to put that job ad up. The next part of this is really your time as the business owner. So your time to go through, create the job ad, post it, review the resumes, reach out and book the interviews, conduct the interviews yourself, make the job offer, make the policies, the contract, onboard the employee, train the employee. So those are all of your tasks that you, the business owner, have to do. So how do we quantify that in terms of time? On average, a business owner is going to value their time at $50 an hour. On average, it takes about 42 days or 6 weeks to hire one job vacancy. At $50 an hour, you're going to be spending 25 hours per week over those 42 days. That alone is going to cost you $7,500. But that's not all. What about your opportunity cost, your lost time that's taking you away from doing things like business development activities? How much is that going to cost you? That can cost you in and around $15,000 for taking your time away to do those important activities. That's just recruitment. In terms of onboarding and training, you're looking at about $3,300. So in total, it's going to cost you, the business owner, approximately, because each role varies, about $28,500 just to hire your own employee. So why would you then go through and hire an HR consultant? For a show of hands, is there anyone here as a business owner that has employees in their business? Raise your hand. Okay. Of those employees, are they employees on payroll? Raise your hand if they're employees on payroll. Okay. And then what about anyone that has contractors within their business? Subcontractors. Yeah, so a few of you. Why hire an HR consultant? So we talked about the costs and the costs in your time. So first of all, you're going to save money in your dollars in the paid ads. Most importantly, you're going to save money in time. As a business owner, who here agrees that your time is your most precious and valuable resource? Raise your hand. And you saw how much it costs just in your time. So when you work with an HR consultant such as myself, you are saving that time. You get that time to do those tasks that are super important to generate more revenue for your business. Because you have someone such as myself in the background, and I do all of that legwork for you. I create the targeted job ad. I figure out where to post it online so that we target the type of audience and type of employee you want to bring into your business. I go through an in-depth pre-qualification process so that by the time you, the business owner, comes into the one-on-one interview, you already have people that are vetted for you. I do the reference checks. I create your employment contracts, contractor agreements. I create your policies and make sure that you are HR compliant. And the reason for this, what you get out of that, obviously you get to generate more revenue, but also what you get as a business owner is that you get to enjoy your business. You have less stress, you have less overwhelm. You're not staying up late at night wondering, how am I gonna find the time to find this person, plus grow my business at the same time? You're gonna have more work-life balance. You're gonna be more confident, and you're gonna prevent the chance of having a lawsuit or some kind of government intervention. So these are just a couple of success stories of a few clients that we've worked with over the years, helping them integrate specific HR systems, HR software, making sure that they're compliant. One client at the height of the pandemic was in healthcare, and legally at the time they had to have a COVID safety plan. So we helped them develop a really robust plan. So what are the next steps for you as a business owner? From today, go back to your offices, conduct an HR audit. Do you have policies in place? If you do, how outdated are they? Do you know the recent changes within employment standards? See what your gaps are and figure out how to fill them. Update your documentation. If you do have employees that are on contracts, how old are those contracts? Because there's recent case law from 2020. You want to make sure that your contracts have what is called enforceable termination clauses. Because if you don't, and you end up in court, those clauses, what's in that contract, is going to mean nothing. It won't hold up in court at all. If you don't have contracts in place, you do want to get those employment contracts in place. That is how you're going to protect your business as a business owner with employees on payroll. More importantly, train your employees, train your workers. If you do have policies, that's fantastic. The more important part is making sure that you communicate those policies, those expectations to your employees. That's a really important piece here. Leverage HR software. For small businesses right now, the HR software landscape is fantastic. There's many softwares out there that can take all of the manual compliance and sort of manual processes within HR and streamline it and automate it. And it also makes sure that you are compliant. And obviously consult with experts such as myself. I have a booth over there, so come visit me. I'm happy, pick my HR brain, ask me some questions. And again, don't forget to download that checklist. It gives you everything you need to know, much more information than I was able to dig into today given the short time, and take advantage of that opportunity for the HR consultation. I typically charge $200 for that HR consultation, but for today only, if you book it today, come to my booth, you'll be able to get that for free, my contact information from there. Thank you very much for your time, I appreciate it.